Jim Whitehead of All Power Group. Thank you for allowing me to come back online. 2 or 3 days ago, 2 days in a row, my live stream just kind of, when it was in the middle or whatever, my camera just decided, I don't like looking at you anymore, so I'm going to basically shut down. So, yeah, did you recover? Yeah, can you edit a live? You can, but the real way to do it is make sure your camera can hang in there through the whole presentation. Now, what I have is literally 4 cameras now where, boy, if they fail, boy, I have a problem. Anyway, okay, let's talk today. The topic today is, Earth is currently experiencing a mass extinction event with species disappearing at an alarming rate. Now, on the Animal Channel, along with other good animal channels, we're always talking about this problem with losing animals and animals going extinct and losing their habitat. And of course, I hate to say, our climate changes and fires are way beyond what they used to be. And it's scary. It really is, and it's sad. But when I was putting together an idea, I said, wait a minute, I'm missing something. And this presentation, that's why I was so excited to get back vertically live, is so that I could really share this with you. Okay, the title today is How AI, I know you're sick of listening to AI, and satellites can save biodiversity. Now, you're looking at a satellite. We have satellites for a lot of different things up in Earth orbit, some low Earth orbit, some are much higher. And my feeling is this could be a high issue where when you go higher with satellites, you don't have to have as many up there to cover the Earth. When you're on, like, using Starlink as an example, he's got, Elon has approximately, I'm going to say 5,000 satellites, but they're all in low Earth orbit. Why do they do that? Because it's an internet issue going back and forth from a ground station to the satellite. So the further away the satellite, or let's say it the other way around, the closer satellite, the faster that transmission will be up and back. What we would call low latency. But what these satellites would be doing, and I'm going to use not squirrels. I'm going to use, the example of the higher satellites and what they can do. Now, going along, we talk about poaching. Now, let's use elephants in Kenya, for example. The only way they can catch poachers if somebody's on the ground looking for poachers. And let's face it, they can hide behind a tree. I'm using a silly example, but it's not really a good way of being able to really make sure somebody's doing something they shouldn't. And these animals are wonderful. And to say you're going to take an elephant because you want their tusk, you should be shot. Maybe not literally, figuratively speaking, but they're not hurting anybody. And that's not a way that you make money. Now, how you really make money, and I'm kind of joking here, is start a YouTube channel. And then you're set for life. But seriously, I'm getting there, slow but sure, and I don't give up. I've worked my whole life I started a YouTube channel in 2007. Didn't have any time to do it really. And then I sold my generator business a year or more ago, and we sold our home in Davie, Florida, and moved over here to Naples. Sorry if you keep hearing these, but the point being, this is what I do full time. So, you know, it's exciting. So back to satellites. Another satellite. Now, one would say, well, who's going to pay for them to go up? Well, the neat thing about satellites is a couple neat things. One, I was, and I'm a ham radio person. What would happen when, in the years past, there was going to be a launch of whatever satellite. These CubeSats were maybe a foot by a foot by a foot by a foot, or a little smaller, maybe bigger. They can kind of ride share. So it isn't that, you know, you'd say, oh yeah, we're gonna have to spend all this money and you know, get these satellites up so that we can monitor our animals. I mean, really, it's one of the most logical things, and sometimes we all miss the logical things and go to the things that maybe don't make sense. But the point I'm making is there's not a high cost where you're going to need to spend a lot of money to get any of these satellites up so they can help us control the safety of our worldwide animals. So, and I would gladly contribute money so that our world can be better protected. Now, obviously, when you look at what you're looking at is a look down on our Earth, and you know, and let's say that's just one satellite view. You can see that it's covering a lot of the Earth. Now, you wouldn't necessarily have to cover everything, but we know, and you'll see in a minute, Africa is one of the areas that there's a lot of animals and, you know, hunting safaris and poaching and what have you. It just doesn't make any sense. And like with the Amazon, we lose about a football size space in the Amazon to people just, you know, expanding, cutting down trees, et cetera, et cetera. And every time you do, and it's every day, you can imagine how much that comes out to in a year. Our animals are losing where they live. So we're hitting them all over. But if we can get where we can see what's going on, here's another Earth, looking at Earth, and it's one of the best opportunities. Yes, these are long shots, and satellites have the capability. In fact, years ago, they used to joke about some of the military satellites we have, that they are so powerful that they could read your license plate from space. Now, don't do anything wrong, because yeah, they'll find you. So, unless you take your license plate off, but don't do that either. Okay, now, as I said earlier, the biggest issue here is Africa. And we're recognizing that this is one of the big areas that we need to keep an eye on. Excuse me for my inflection of my voice. You know, like back to elephants for a minute, they are targeted by poachers for their ivory tusks. What a great reward. And traditional monitoring does not really protect elephants, and it's labor intensive and often not timely enough to prevent poaching. So in other words, this is like you have a job, you're getting paid, and you don't work. And I'm not saying that the folks that are trying to catch poachers are not working, but when it's such a large area and so much space, it makes it very, very, almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's tough. So with, you know, having the capable capability of conserving biodiversity due to the vast areas of land and sea that need to be covered. There's nothing else that could do it. I mean, you know, the oceans. I love the ocean, but I'm not going to go out in the middle of wherever. And so what's happening is AI can analyze satellite data to detect changes in the ecosystem, track endangered species, and monitor illegal activities like poaching and deforestation. Now, every time I do a presentation, I'm always talking about the same thing in the sense of losing animals. I might highlight 4, 5, 6, 10 animals, and I know one of my presentations was, I think I had 10 of the animals that are the closest to going extinct, besides all the animals that are already extinct. Now, luckily, on occasion, they find an animal that we think is extinct, and it's not. So what we do is satellite imaging, high-resolution satellites continuously capture images of wildlife reserves, because they know where these animals are. It's just, if they got 20 people, that can't cover very much area. They have it where they have a satellite, and let's say 3 or 4 that are, you know, in fact, geostationary satellites kind of stay in the same place, but obviously the Earth is turning. So, you know, that's where you don't really need that many satellites to be able to cover the Earth. So, you know, we'd be keeping an eye, and I'm using elephants as an example, but we can talk about a lot of animals, and you know I've done other. So the analysis, elephant detection, AI analyzes satellite images to identify and count elephants. This helps in tracking their movements and understanding population dynamics. Also, suspicious activity. Sometimes you think you might need a satellite over your home, but anyway, I'm sorry if I interject these things that aren't funny. But the neat thing is suspicious activity can be detected. AI is trained to recognize patterns indicative of poaching, such as the presence of vehicles in a restricted nighttime activity. Obviously, the neat thing is satellites can basically, you know, see during the day and at night. Unusual nighttime activity or the formation of suspicious human clusters. You know, you might be saying there's some place out in the middle of nowhere and we are seeing 10 vehicles sitting there. Well, they're probably there for a nefarious process, and we need to know they're there, and we need to make sure we can get to them quickly. Okay, so when AI detects potential poaching activity, it immediately sends real time. Now, real time means right now. It doesn't get stored. It doesn't take forever to get down to Earth. The signal, it comes down in real time, and it can send alerts to wildlife rangers and conservationists. The alerts include the exact location and nature of the suspicious activity, allowing for a quick response. Now, the picture you're looking at, this is Antarctica. Now, as you know, especially in wintertime, most people can't even be in the Antarctica, I'm sorry. And with satellites, they don't have to be there. And it isn't where if they were in a, you know, either the American station, the Russian station, et cetera, that they know something's wrong and they go way out. I mean, let's face it, that's a very extremely cold, unexpected storms, snow, you name it. glacial activity, it's scary. So if you can look at that area all year round and have it where you know something is not happening that it shouldn't happen anyway. Data collection and research. The collected data on elephant movements and poaching activities contribute to long-term research, helping develop better strategies for protecting elephants. And we can use in place of elephants, we can say animals. AI continuously improves, and that's neat because it is. I mean, a lot of what I do here, in fact, everything you see image-wise, thank goodness, because I wouldn't even enjoy this if I had to just use a web browser and say, please bring me or show me a picture of Antarctica. Might be an old picture, might be not the high quality pixel issue, but with AI, it's about as good as it gets, and it's getting better. There's leapfrogging on all these companies saying, I'm going to make the next better mousetrap or AI process. And that's exactly what's happening. I've been back full time. It was a year ago in March, so about a year and a quarter. And in fact, I probably will do a presentation on this of what it was like back in 2007, first of all, what it was like in 2023, and now we're halfway through 2024. So, and that's where, this is all getting better. And as I said, these satellites can do double duty. I mean, one of a great satellite improvement issue with AI is storm prediction, hurricane prediction. I have found that with the satellites and very good weather AI, and I take my hat off for the Weather Channel, how they are so good at, of course, forecasting, seeing these storms, and forecasting 5, 6, 7 days in advance where it's going to go. It's amazing. The only thing, and I'm not sure what's going to improve this, is it's hard to 100% predict the intensity. So that's the only thing right now I say, well, they know that a storm, and where we are, we're in Naples, which is southwest Florida, and of course, to my west is the Gulf. So we will know, now, today, if there's a storm coming off of the Azores, or later in the year when they come up around the Yucatan and Mexico, they can say, okay, this is probably where it's going to go, and we think it's going to be this intensity. That's the only thing the satellites don't necessarily help at this point, but they will. So the impact of this is increased protection for our animals, resource efficiency. I mean, if you have one satellite that can look at, let's say, 1/3 of the world, how many people would you need on the ground to cover that area and have it where they're working together? It just doesn't, it's not reality. It isn't. So a lot of areas just go, unnoticed. And obviously those bad people that need animal things for whatever they want, they go where they would assume there's not going to be anybody. So you can't win this way. So with satellites, and a lot of these folks would be very surprised all of a sudden if they're doing something and someone shows up. They'd be like, how the heck did they know we're here? Well, we know, and we're going to know, and you better not come back. So, anyway, this will enhance conservation strategies. Here's an example. In a wildlife reserve in Africa, the implementation of satellite AI monitoring led to a 40%, and this is like a study, a reduction in poaching incidents within the first year. So 40%, let's say you had 100 animals, 40 of those aren't going to go away. And as they can implement and go beyond what they have now available, they can go to, I don't want to say 100%, but they'll go to a good percentage where it will actually not even be worth, I hope, these folks to, go in areas and kill animals. So thanks to the real-time alerts and predictive analytics, as a result, the local elephant population began to stabilize and even show signs of growth. Okay, this example demonstrates the powerful role that satellite AI technology can play in wildlife conservation, providing a scaling and efficient solution to protect endangered species. Okay, we made it through the whole broadcast, and I still only had to use one camera. The other ones are saying, hey, I wanted to have an opportunity to do this too. But seriously, thank you very much. And anything that we can collectively do together. And, it's one of those things where, if a million people give $1, that's $1 million. So, I think. So it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. And the last thing I'll say is these satellites don't have to be a single purpose satellite. They can be, where you do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that, and monitor our biodiversity. So I'm excited about this whole thing because I don't kid around when I say this bothers me every day when I'm doing these presentations that aren't happy. I'm basically a happy person. But the point is, I'm not happy when animals have to suffer. So, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate you coming back because, yes, the last two live videos kind of had it where my camera decided, as I said, I don't want to look at you anymore. So, be well, stay well, and we really appreciate everything you do here. And hopefully I'll see you again.